Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name is Anthony. I am a business profit advocate. Here we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and people just doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting with Jason Zygadlo, sales leader, certified career coach and consultant, passionate entrepreneur, and a personal brand builder. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing really well, Anthony. Thanks so much for having me and happy Friday to you.
Yeah, it is. I'm so excited.
TGIF.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah, we had a great conversation the other day. I think a lot of people need to hear what you do. It's pretty awesome. I don't think a lot of people know that there's folks like you out there, so they definitely need to. So, where are you calling in from?
Yeah, so I am actually a little south of Cleveland, Ohio, in a town called Brunswick, Ohio.
Okay, I got you. Are you a lifer there in Ohio, or you recently moved?
Yeah, so the Michigan helmet actually on this side of me kind of gives it away. No, I'm from Michigan. Grew up there and then came to Ohio when I was in high school and then went to college here. I went to Kent State University. So I've been around a little bit. Still very loyal to my Michigan Wolverines, I have to say. So shout out to Michigan Wolverine
Well, I might
football
have
team.
might have to blur that helmet out. We don't need to get run out of the state. So awesome. So I've driven through Ohio. I've never stopped anywhere in it. What's fun? What do you
Ooh,
recommend people go to Ohio for?
great question. So in the northeastern Ohio kind of area in particular, you may have heard of Cedar Point. It's a large, probably one of the largest amusement parks. It was actually recently acquired by Six Flags. So now it's going to be called Six Flags. But the best roller coasters, in my opinion. If you're an enthusiast, I mean, this is one of those amusement parks you're going to want to hit. Very great variety of different roller coasters. I'd also say too, just being up in the Great Lakes, growing up in Michigan and then also in Ohio, Lake Erie. I know we don't have a nice weather often, but when we do, just being on Lake Erie is a beautiful place to be. And in fact, a lot of people don't know this, Anthony, but there are a couple of islands, maybe a half an hour boat ride out into Lake Erie called Kelly's Island and Put-in Bay. Lots of great bars and restaurants and golf cart community and just a really neat place to go. So we'd like to spend time there in the summertime. It's a big draw to Ohio, but candidly, not a lot of people know about it. And so I always like to hype that place up, although not too much because then I don't want it to get overcrowded for us local folks. Um, but yeah, and then I think a food scene, I mean, there's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, but the restaurant scene is really, I think, kind of come on board, so to speak. And so a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great chefs, just have identified Ohio as a great spot to kind of put a restaurant in. So we're excited, to kind of see that part of the area grow for sure.
That's awesome. I didn't know about those islands. I'll have to check that out. I just assumed Lake Erie, just water. Never
Yeah,
even
it's
crossed my
really
mind.
cool, super cool. So there's multiple islands, but Middle Bass Island, Kelly's Island, and Put-in Bay are the ones that are a little more developed. And yeah, all summer long, music and like I said, nice bars and restaurants and lots of boats coming in and out and Airbnbs, on the islands and different hotels and different places to stay at. So just a really neat place to visit. And it's kind of a hidden gem, really. A lot of people like yourself don't really know that these islands exist, and it's just a really neat place to go visit. So,
Yeah, that is awesome. I'll have to put it on to my to-go list. So that
yes.
sounds great. So what can you tell us about what you do?
Yeah, so Anthony, I started out in medical sales. In fact, right out of college, I sold pharmaceutical sales. People want to know always, how did you get into that right out of college? And I think maybe you and I had talked about it a little bit. I stood out in a parking lot with my suit on, my resume in a nice shiny folder. I had printed my own business cards with simply my name, my email address, my phone number. And this is pre-LinkedIn, kind of give you a little bit of an insight as to how old I am. But I was looking for a job and knew that it was a difficult industry to get into. And I was applying, but not getting any results. And so I've always tried to pride myself on being different and memorable and how can I stand out? I didn't have the best grades, always looking for these little ways to find an edge to get some exposure. And so I thought to myself, why not just go to where the reps are? You're not going to fish in a pond that has no fish. you're going to go to the pond that has fish. And so for me, that was going to medical offices where I knew pharmaceutical reps were coming in and out to bring samples and lunch and everything that they do to these doctors' offices. And I would hand my resume out that way and introduce myself. And some people probably thought I was a low-grade stalker and maybe a little crazy. But little did I know, when someone got out of the passenger seat, it was a sales manager working with their sales rep doing a field visit, ride along for the day. And you can only imagine what a manager would kind of think about a guy who's gritty and tenacious and finding ways to, be different, to stand out. And so that was really how I was able to break into the pharmaceutical world. I spent a few years doing that and then got bored. Full disclosure, it wasn't a job that I was in love with anymore. I was kind of losing interest in it because I wasn't having the engagement that I thought I would be with physicians. And it was just a difficult, the challenges that were in place to have conversations with doctors were starting to become more and more. And so over that 3-year time of selling pharmaceuticals, I had learned about medical devices, and that's where the action was, and that's where the better pay was, and all of these great things. And so I wanted to pursue that, and was quickly told again, hey, you're a pharmaceutical rep, you don't sell anything, you bring lunch and you drop samples off. And that's when I was like, Anthony, exactly, that's why I want out, can you help me? And again, I had to put my thinking cap on because I kept being told that I was just a pharmaceutical rep. And so what did I do? I went to the local mall. I had an upcoming medical device interview, and I bought a pair of scrubs. I took my suit off, I put the scrubs on, drove out to the hospital, and walked into this ICU, intensive care unit. And I'll never forget a sign that said, "Do not enter." I held my breath. I pushed the button. I walk in, and there I am, beeping noises, chaos. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? And so I happened to see someone that I knew because it was a physician that was a part of my pharmaceutical territory. And he goes, Jason, what are you doing in scrubs? And why are you in this intensive care unit? And I go, thank you so much. So happy to see a familiar face. Here's why I'm here. You've written me a recommendation letter. You know I'm looking for other opportunities. It just so happens that I have an opportunity to sell a product that is in the operating room and in the intensive care unit. Can you show me what they look like? Can you show me the brand you use? I want to learn as much as I can. Can you help me? The physician was kind enough to call a nurse over. We sit down and I start taking notes like crazy. Anthony, you can see smoke coming off the paper because I'm trying to absorb and digest as much of the information they were sharing with me as I possibly could digest. And so, to make a long story semi-short, I get to the interview a couple days later and I say, hey, before we get started, I've got a really cool story that I think you'd like to hear. And the hiring manager was kind of piqued his interest. Yeah, sure. What's going on? I pull the bag of scrubs out. I pull the receipt out to validate what I was about to say. And I explained to him that I buy these scrubs, I drive to this hospital, and I take all my notes out. I take the business card out from the nurse that had her name on it, her phone number. She told me that I could tell the manager to give him a call to validate the conversation if he wanted to, learn more about what I had done. And then I explained to him and showed him the recommendation letter that the physician had provided. And he was just blown away. Like, wow, talk about prepared and going above and beyond. And, you don't even have the job yet, and you're sneaking into hospitals. Like, this is pretty awesome. And then I proceeded to tell him how I broke into pharmaceuticals. And Anthony snuck away for a little bit. He comes back. He had to take a call. Then I proceed to close the interview in normal fashion, like you would in any interview. Hey, based on our conversation, I'm super excited about the product and the company and the culture. Listen, based on what we talked about, can you see me being a part of your team? Do you see me bringing value? And he was like, absolutely. I want you to meet so-and-so next. And I go and meet him and I show up and they offered me the job on the spot. The VP of sales was asking me a ton of questions, nothing about a normal interview, so to speak. It was just about me and my family and this and that. And I was like, whoa, I got to kind of talk shop here. I got to land this job. And I said, hey, I prepared some stuff for you here. Can I share it with you? And he was like, no, the job's yours. And I'll never forget this. I'm a grown man. My little chin starts to quiver because I'd been told no so many times. And he goes, how you prepared for this is better than any other candidate that I've ever seen. And when Andy stepped away to make that call, he called me and said, hey, we found our Cleveland guy. So congratulations to you. You earned this. And from there, I spent 20 years essentially in the medical device space. I sold mainly cardiothoracic and vascular devices up until 2019. In 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so it was important for me to, and I had gotten, I don't want to say bored, but I just wanted a new challenge. And getting into oncology was something that started to feel meaningful to me. And so I was working with breast surgeons all in Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, selling a device that helped with patients who had breast cancer, and did that for a few years. And I'm a startup guy. Another carrot come dangling along, and Jason went and chased it. And I left this breast cancer company to stay in women's health, but it was a product helping women who had uterine fibroids. And very quickly, I was laid off in about 60 days or so. They hired me in November, let us go in February. They had ran out of funding. And it was at that point where I had already been kind of questioning, what do I want to do when I grow up? And over that 20-year span of selling medical devices, I spoke at universities. I was helping people all the time get prepared for jobs because they knew how I got the jobs that I had gotten in a very difficult industry. Most people know that, breaking into that medical sales world, we're talking big six-figure jobs, pay, and a lot of responsibility. They're hard to land. And so somehow I became anointed as the person to come to when it came to professional development work. And so I've always had this passion to want to help people level up and get to their highest potential and help them do that. And so my IT buddies, my accounting buddies, my engineer buddies, all really don't know and have that business acumen of how to close deals, and how to close themselves in an interview, or how to ask really good questions in an interview, and the psychology of why those questions are being asked, and building a business plan and having a portfolio of all your accolades, but then bundling all of this together and representing yourself and knowing how to do it very fluently. And so that's where Build Your Own Brand was born, was essentially to help people be different and memorable in their own unique approach in whatever space they play in. And so now that's essentially what I do. And it's been so much fun. Listen, selling widgets into the big hospitals in my area and beyond was awesome. Helped a lot of people and felt really good about that. But now, seeing people's confidence just skyrocket because there's this job that they didn't think they were qualified for, now realizing that they can straighten up their spine and have the confidence to go attack these interviews because they know how to tell their story and they know how to represent themselves at a very high level.
That's awesome. I think a lot of people need that because I think the through line with everything that you've done is that you've been bold, and a lot of people need the okay that it's okay to be bold. It's okay to stand out from the crowd. That's what's actually going to help you get what you want.
That's right.
Don't follow the, hey, if you just have this format on your resume and you talk in a monotone voice or you use fancy language. Nope, be bold. Do something that's going to separate you. Otherwise, you're just another applicant.
That's so right. And a friend of mine, Matthew Ray Scott, he talks about breaking out of the sea of sameness. And that's essentially what this is. So many applicants, only a couple of jobs available. What are you doing to be different? What are you doing to stand out? Now, look, I'm not asking anyone to stand in parking lots or break into intensive care units. But what I am saying is you need to think about your comfort level and what can you be doing to just be a little bit different than the other candidates that are also interviewing for the same jobs. And that's really what it comes down to. That's what I enjoy, helping people, think about what it is that they want to accomplish, and then let's find a really neat way to do that. And so, there's to your point, I talk to my daughter about this all the time. Comfort is the enemy of growth. And so, I had to take a dose of my own medicine because candidly, I kept telling myself, I can't start this business. I'm just a little old sales guy. I only know sales and this is all I've been doing. And my wife was like, look, you can't preach, be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you not do it yourself. And I'm like, wow, it's so true. So I took a leap of faith. I started this business, and here I am now helping individuals and businesses be different, be memorable. And on the business side of things, Anthony, one of the pillars of the Build Your Own Brand platform and helping individuals get jobs is the use of personalized videos. And there's several platforms out there, but if you know how to use a personalized video creatively, then you can really, again, stand out amongst the other applicants if you're looking for a job. But think about a business owner who is looking to grow prospects. And, there's glory of the gatekeeper in every single industry. How do you get to the end users? What about a personalized video that introduces yourself, or that is a thank you after providing a quote, or a way to just confirm an appointment that we have upcoming next week at 3 o'clock? Using these videos in a way to be different captures attention, because I'm a firm believer that attention is the new currency. And if you can find a way to be different and get someone's attention, the likelihood of them spending a little bit more time on your business and digging into it and looking to see what you do, or you as an applicant, it just increases immensely.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of us are intimidated by that. We want to be as good as everybody else when you should really be trying to separate yourself. So that's awesome. I like that. What's your favorite thing about what you're doing now? Now that you've kind of shifted over and building your own brand?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, again, it goes back to just watching someone who lacks confidence, who's afraid to go after that job that they see on LinkedIn posted and go, I wish I could get that job. And it's like, no, why not? I never thought I could get into medical sales right out of college. I mean, I was told no, 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 but I was ambitious and gritty and just rolling up my sleeves and figuring out a way. And so teaching people to have almost that blue collar approach, like, don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves and do some of these things to help yourself stand out and be different and memorable. And watching their confidence, Anthony, go through the roof, and just seeing that development over the course of time as they kind of walk themselves through the program. And it just builds and compounds meeting after meeting that we have. And it's just really cool to see these folks go out and execute and talk about themselves at a high level, and be comfortable in doing it and not intimidated by the process. And that's because they've done the homework and they've put themselves together in such a way that when they get in front of a hiring manager, they're not intimidated, they're excited.
I like that because you're teaching them, how to get in front of the hiring manager, how to be excited, how to be bold, but that's something they're going to carry with them into that job too. It's not just we're helping you get the job, it's we're helping you get the job. Yeah, but you're also going to be better at it, and you're also going to achieve more in the future because you've taken these steps and you've seen it work. So why not apply that everywhere? Um,
That's right.
so how long have you how long ago did you start building your own brand?
Yeah, so Build Your Own Brand is about less than a year old. I kind of came up with the idea and then put it all out there on my LinkedIn and this, but actually serving clients, it's really been about 6 months. So it's in its infancy stages, and that's why I'm grateful to be here. I always tell people, for being a salesman, I'm not very pushy. I just want people to know that this type of service exists, because candidly, I feel like there's so many people, from the VP folks that I work with right down to the fresh college graduates, that don't know how to tell their story and don't know how to package themselves up in a way to where they're representing themselves at the highest level. And what you see, Anthony, is even in colleges, we all have seen these career services departments at college that are supposed to help you with your resume and how to interview. And really, candidly, they're doing the same things that they did back in 1994 for students in 2024. That's not going to work. And so it's all about helping these folks, give them the confidence and help build them up in such a way that they feel really good about representing themselves. And I see it in senior level folks, and I see it right down to these folks that have just graduated that really don't know how to do that. And so that's really been a lot of fun for me. And I get so passionate and attack all of these jobs and helping clients or helping businesses like I would my own. I feel like, I put that same energy and just excitement and enthusiasm like it was mine because I want to see everyone succeed.
Okay. So what's like an average client look like for you? You said it goes all the way from you're fresh out of college all the way up to people that have been doing it for years and maybe want to make a change. What's the common thread through all of them that you go, if you're dealing with that, I can help you.
Yeah, I think it is the lack of confidence and complacency. I think, there's a lot of these folks that have been in that job and been doing it over and over miserably, but they just don't feel like they can go after something else. That would be an ideal client. It's that client that's been looking and going on interviews, but just not getting that final spot. They're finishing runner up or they're not getting called back. We need to take and examine why. What are you doing in the interview process? Because that's really my sweet spot, Anthony. I tell people all the time, I'm not a recruiter. I don't help people get jobs in that sense. And I'm not a coach where I have you fill out an application or fill out a test and then I analyze it and say, Anthony, actually, you really should be an accountant or a real estate agent or a priest. That's not what I do either. My kind of real niche is helping people in that interview process stand out and land the jobs by knowing how to ask the right questions and knowing how to just represent themselves at the highest level. Additionally, from a business perspective, businesses I've been working with now really very particularly on how to use the personalized video connection to prospect for new clients and to also thank current clients. I would say, arguably, all the time, I tell some of these business owners this: we watch TV and we see over and over again, all of the deals go to new customers, right? Look at the phone company, look at the cable company, always really sweet deals for those folks. But imagine if you're a client or excuse me, a customer of a business, and you get an email that has a video in it that says, "Hey, Anthony, it's Jason from XYZ phone company." I was looking through the notes and I see back on November of 2004, you signed up with us and you're still a loyal customer. We just want to take a moment to say thank you and thank you in a more creative and personalized way. Hopefully you see the excitement on my face that, we're so grateful that you've been a partner of ours for this long. And we know there's other companies out there that you can go with. Here's a $5 coupon off your next month's cell phone. And, we just want to let you know that we are appreciative and maybe haven't done a good enough job of letting you know that. Thank you so much. You would go, wow, they called me by name. They knew exactly when I signed up. They gave me a little something for my loyalty. That's a good feeling. People will pay more for personalized things, Anthony, because people like their name, right? They go down an aisle and see, mugs that have names on it. You better believe I go over there and I'm always looking for the Jason mug because I think human beings are wired. They like their name. That's their given at birth. It's a special meaning. And so when you can send a video and use someone's name and talk a little bit about something that you've connected with and know about them, that just takes a conversation to a whole nother level. And so businesses are eager to understand that from a prospecting perspective, as well as just a thank you to the loyal customers that they work so hard to earn.
Yep, exactly. I think was it Dale Carnegie and How to Win Friends and Influence People, where you said the sweetest sound in any language is your own name.
Your
People
own
like it.
name.
It catches their attention. It sounds good. I don't know. It's something about it. You're right. Absolutely right. What about power partners? Who's somebody that you other industries or other folks that you work really well with that you can help each other's clients back and forth?
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, when we originally sat down and you stumped me candidly. But I do think where I'm seeing some clients be referred to me are recruiters. And so when you think about a client who comes to a recruiter and wants a job, but maybe they just aren't the most confident client, and maybe they aren't packaged and bundled up in a way where the recruiter feels comfortable enough to put them in front of a hiring manager. I would say to recruiters, let me work with some of your folks and help build them up and build their confidence and package them up so I can hand them back off to you and then put them in front of the hiring managers because we know that's how recruiters get paid, by good quality candidates landing jobs. That's their bread and butter. And so I now have had medical device recruiters send me clients because they were recruiters that I worked with when I was looking for jobs. So they know I know how to represent myself at a high level. They know I know how to get the job, and I've made them money because of the way I've presented myself. And so I'm trying to build up that kind of area of my business, working with recruiters in all different areas. Again, IT, accounting, engineering, it doesn't really matter. I think all of those folks need to know how to represent themselves at a high level to help, again, break out of that sea of sameness. So that would be one. And I'm still kind of feeling that out, being a new entrepreneur, learning where some of my referrals could best come. Um, Partly why I'm now starting to get involved in much more networking, and very grateful to be on this show with you and to have had conversations with you. I know you've introduced me to some other, wonderful networking opportunities. And so it's just kind of a work in progress. I will say another area for me are nurses and techs that work in hospitals. And what I mean by that is for 20 years, I was tapped on the shoulder by nurses after a procedure that we had done. And they would say, "Hey, Jason, are you a nurse? How did you get into this medical device world?" And I would say, "No, I'm not, but I can teach you how." And so I've helped now, anecdotally, several nurses over the years get into medical sales because they have that medical background. Medical device and pharmaceutical companies love the background that they do have. It's just now teaching them how to earn these jobs and putting on their business cap and taking off their nursing cap or technologist cap. So those two areas tend to be good, I think, kind of what you call them, power
Power partners.
connections,
Yep.
power partners. I like that
Yep.
word.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, those are what come to mind.
Okay. Yeah, and absolutely explore anybody and everybody because you never know exactly where that connection can come. There could be areas where I never considered that, but it works perfectly. So be open to that would be my good advice.
Yes.
Now, on your end, a good piece of advice for those that have, been here this whole time that they can maybe take away and look at. How do I stand out when I'm looking for a job?
Yeah, it's such a great question, right? And I think we talked about it all throughout the conversation, but to really bring it home, it's about how you pull out your resume. It's about how you ask good questions. It's about using something like a personalized video to be different and memorable. It's a lot of optics and perception, Anthony, when you're representing yourself. So if you can figure out a way to do that at a high level, you just really increase your chances of standing out and being different.
That's beautiful. A lot of people need to hear that. They need to start thinking outside the box. It's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. So is there anything that I failed to ask that I missed that maybe you wanted to add?
Just for all those folks out there, whether they're business owners and thinking perhaps maybe about personalized videos and how that can be implemented into their day-to-day activity, or you're someone who's complacent or looking for a job, hopefully some of these ideas get the gears turning, and how maybe perhaps you can think about your approach differently. If what you're doing isn't working and you've been doing it for a little while, it's time to change things up. And it's time to change things up where you straighten up your spine, like I said earlier, and feel comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what this is all about. So I would just kind of reiterate what I said earlier with regards to those things. Just don't be afraid to take the leap of faith. I mean, you've done it, Anthony. We've all done it in this entrepreneurial world, and bet on yourself, because I like my odds. I'm not going to let myself fail. And most people are wired that same way too. They want to win, and we just want to take it to that next level.
Yeah. Yep, that's absolutely true. What's the best way that people reach you, get a hold of you, find you?
Yeah, another good question. So I love meeting new friends. You can find me on LinkedIn. Build Your Own Brand has a website, or excuse me, has a LinkedIn page. So does Jason Zygadlo. My last name's ZY, so I'm probably, when you type that in, I may pop up because there aren't too many people after me, alphabetically speaking. So yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. Those are kind of the areas where I spend my time, but also our website. I think it's a good opportunity for folks. If I've said something that kind of struck a nerve, you want to learn a little bit more about the business and how we do things, www.careercoachbyob.com. It's build your own brand, not bring your own beer. I know some of my friends like to think that that's what it stands for, but yeah, all kidding aside, yeah, those are the ways that you can connect with me. Love to connect with new people and learn about what people are doing, and see if there's a mutually beneficial way to help one another. So yeah, just that's
Perfect.
my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Perfect. Well, if anybody would like to get a hold of Jason, feel free, reach out to him. He's not only, a wealth of knowledge, but he's absolutely interested in what you're doing. He's a very, very nice person to have a conversation with. Pick his brain. He, like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's done quite a bit. So you definitely want to learn from him. But other than that, if anybody out there would like to be interviewed, you can feel free to reach out to me. Not only am I going to have all of Jason's links in the description, but you'll also be able to find my link tree where my scheduling link and all the places that I post these are. So feel free to do that. If you are a little bit more shy and you prefer an introduction, maybe you're not quite as bold as Jason yet, feel free to reach out to me and I can make that three-way introduction for you. But otherwise, Jason, I really appreciate coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on here and talk to some folks. But other
Yeah.
than that, let's all get out
Thank
there.
you, Anthony. Yeah, I would just, not to interrupt you, but I want to say how grateful I am. I know we just met, and I've learned a lot about each other in a short period of time, and I just appreciate what you're doing and how you're doing it. You're a genuine and authentic connector, from what I could see in a very short period of time, as I mentioned, and just truly grateful for the work that you're doing, and would just tell you you're doing a fantastic job. So keep it up.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm going to absolutely be adopting some of the things you talked about during this interview. So let's all get out there, be more bold, and meet new people. All right, all right. Have a
Thank
good
you
one,
so
guys.
much.